It's a good evening from studios here in Brisbane. Well, the storm bird's been going, so we know we've got a storm coming within 7 days, whether it's high winds or rain. But anyway, that's the signs of watching nature. So currently, folks, Andrena and Joy, we've had Joy previously, and information that comes through is just unbelievable. So that's why we've asked her back. Without any further ado, Andrena, shall I get you to take it away?
Okay, Jeffrey. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good day. Welcome wherever you are in the world to Dreaming the New Dream. And today is my great pleasure to have the lovely Joy Wisdom back. So welcome, Joy. It's really lovely to see you again.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here again and to be with you. Thank you.
And you live up to your name of wisdom, because I mean, you do so many. You're an author of books. You won an award recently in London. You run many workshops and courses and so much more. You're a complete package in the nicest possible way. Anyway, today we're going to talk a bit on sensory perception and how it affects our health, and also how to manage it, because I know like being highly sensitive and empaths and we're all dealing with different things coming from different places. And, you know, like you walk in somewhere and you can feel the energy, or, you know, you can feel unsettled, or, you know, there's so many different things that affect us. Like, you know, you can go in some of the places and the music, you've got music going there, and then somebody else has got music going in the next shop. And it's like, oh my God, how can you think? And then you've got all these lights, and then, like you mentioned about smells in the bio, and I thought, yeah, you go into like the smaller bakers now, Tesco's and M&S, and they all make bread. So when you go in, you've got that lovely aroma of bread, which makes you feel hungry. So you've got all these, just a few of the different things that are going on. So where would you like to start with all of this?
Thank you. Absolutely. I couldn't agree for more. The thing about sensory perception is that we have a radar going 24/7. And our radar, our aura, sends messages back to us. And that interface happens into our chakras that then sends those messages to the physical. So we have a whole program and transitions that are going on 24/7. It doesn't switch off, it doesn't have a holiday, doesn't lie in the morning. It's going 24/7. And even in the middle of the night, we can wake up and have hairs at the back of our neck because our sensory perception, our aura, has been telling us that something isn't right. And we are then awakened to do something about it. So as we move into these transformational times, and the energies are ramping up as we haven't ever had these energies before, and we are getting used to making those changes. And full moons, solstices, equinoxes, and so on are particularly ramped up with energy, and we can feel those energies. Now, depending upon our sensitivity is how we are going to respond to that. Are we going to feel happy about it? Are we going to feel exhilarated around it? Or are we going to feel threatened, uncomfortable, can't cope? And through, I remember going through the 1980s, 90s, even in the 70s, of where you could have whole periods of where you were ill. You were ill with these energies that were coming in. And you could have whole periods of time, especially over Christmas, because we stop our normal routine, and we can be flattened over that period of time because energies, and very often at Christmas time, there is huge changes happening because these energies and frequencies can get through to us to help us make change. So the sensory, first of all, it was called highly sensitive person. And there were books written about it. I'm sure you've heard the term. But it was actually 1913 when Jung, the psychiatrist Jung, and of course we had Freud, he could see that people were sensitive. So he recognized it back in 1913. And the highly sensitive person was coined in 1990 by Elaine Aron, and she was a psychologist. And it was changed recently to sensory perception or sensory processing sensitivity. And of course, a lot of these people that are feeling these sensations and responding to empathic impulses are very left-brained, and they don't like certain terms. So I think this is why the sensory processing sensitivity works for a left brain person, highly sensitive for the right brain. But this has been, the highly sensitive person has been known for 3 decades. And the more we are subjected to these new energies and frequencies, the more sensitive we become. And the more in touch with our empathic skills, our sixth senses, our energetics. And we're supposed to get more in touch with them as we move towards the Aquarian age, because this is going to be the primary living. This unit of ours is going to move further into more of the energetics, more of the right brain, more of the compassion, tolerance, all of those things. But it's also going to be around refining us with these energetics. And we are sensitive because we can be picking up everything. And I've met children and adults don't want to go out. They find life very challenging. And of course, we can call them ADHD. We can call them autistic, but actually they are so finely tuned energetically and empathically that they are seeing and sensing things in a very, very different way. Many years ago, when I was first putting together D.A.R.E, Dissolve and Resolve Emotions, I had a little boy that was brought to me, and he was 9. And I asked him, he was one of these new kids, and I asked him how he saw the world. And he explained he saw it in sacred geometry. And I said to him, so how do you see the alphabet? And he wrote me the alphabet completely different to what we're taught in school.
Wow.
But that was his baseline. And this is the difference with these new children. They have a very different baseline. And we are trying to make them fit into left brain thinking and in schools in certain parameters, whereas they will not work with that. And then they're told, oh, well, you're behind at school. You're not as bright as the others. Children are very, very much, and I know from my own granddaughter at school, they are very pressured with huge amounts of homework and so on at the age of 7 and 8. It's overloading them. Children are becoming anxious. They are overloaded with what they have at school. Never mind so much homework. And of course, parents can't cope with it either. But somebody somewhere in an office thinks that these small children should be able to do it. But they don't just have the curriculum to understand. They have to translate that from what they are, their makeup is, into what is expected of them. And this has been the case. I've met adults as well as children, same thing. They see the world in sacred geometry, and the indigos, the crystals, star seeds, etc., and the cosmics, they have a very different view. They have a very different brain and a very different empathic system. They can see things in patterns, in ways that other people can't see. And very often they can see quicker routes. And indigos get very, very frustrated with the slow change. I mean, I'm an indigo. I know it well. We are so slow in changing because we don't understand the bigger picture. We're still looking at it from a left brain point of view rather than a sensory point of view, which is what we have come in with. And we are helping with our grandchildren and children to help them so that they can see the world in a different way. So the highly sensitive person has been around for a long time. We have come in with these very different parameters in the world and bringing new perspectives, bringing new tolerances, and seeing how to do things in a very, very different way that is perhaps not appreciated, but we do need to accommodate what we need. And unfortunately, in health, in education, and they're just two areas, we need a lot of catching up. And we're trying to fit people and children into a box that they won't go. And then, of course, we give them labels, which...
Well, we're good at that.
We're good at that, yeah. And then, of course, we go down the route of medication and so on. And it's from my point of view, it's very harmful for them. And I remember a long time ago about ADHD on the TV, and this little boy was saying that he could see things. And so they had the Canberra crew and they were saying, well, where are you seeing? Well, of course, you're not going to be able to see it because he's seeing it through his senses. And this little child was meant to look stupid. It meant to look, there's something wrong with you. And the mother didn't know how to cope. And he was put on medication. He was put on medication for the mother's needs, not his needs. And I felt so sorry for this little boy because he was seeing things. He was using his third eye. He was using his sixth senses. And he could see that other people couldn't see. And people like you and I who are empathics, I'm psychic. I can see things that other people can't see. And, it would be the people in the white coats because they the rest of, or a lot of the population don't understand what we're talking about.
No.
But it's sensory. It's sensory. And more of us are picking that up. And you're quite right. This is actually a very good skill. And it is a skill that serves us well because it lets us know when we are aligned to our sixth senses and to our energetics. It allows us to know when we are unsafe. It tells us when there is, because it's a big radar and it can see and sense and informs us. This is classed as your intuition. And your intuition can go to higher levels, clairsentient levels, where you are more aligned with your empathic skills. And empathic skills is a huge program. And we really don't understand the whole of it at the moment, from my perspective. And I teach a lot around this as well. But what I've noticed is that people who are sensitive are often told they're neurotic. There's something wrong with you. because of these bigger picture understanding. And of course, when we are in that fear, we then have biological processes, because these messages are coming into us through our spine into our nervous system, affecting our endocrine system, affecting our heart, our pulse, everything about us as these messages come in. And I've known people who do see things, and it can be quite scary. And they close down these six senses, and they don't want to go there because they've had a particularly fearful or uncomfortable experience. But it's for people like me, not working with your six senses is like having an arm missing, and we can't function as well. And this again is where we can have huge influences on us emotionally and mentally. And very often, just by aligning their energetics, can help them to feel better in the world. And I've known grown-ups who can't go out of the house because they are picking up on huge elements of sensory impacts, frequencies, and changes that are happening in the world. And for some people, they can be so finely attuned, they can feel the things happening in the world. They can feel the changes that might be happening on the other side of the world from where they live, but they can feel that frequency and those changes in energy, that they will be alerted to that. And children, I know children who are very, very connected to nature. And when we had floods here, it would be about a decade ago now, a little girl persuaded her mother to get in the car to go and see these trees because she was distressed because of their distress and all the flooding that was going on at that time. So we can be finely attuned to different things around the world, as well as our environment close to home. And certainly we can walk into a room and pick up, lots of different elements going here. And do I really want to stay here? You can walk in and walk out again because of the atmosphere that you are walking into. In another occasion, you can walk in a room and this is wonderful. I want to be with these people. So there are lots and lots of benefits in using your six senses, but when they are out of alignment or out of sync, which they can be extreme levels of sensitivity, then that's when we can then have those physical, emotional, and be frazzled by what's going on around us.
Totally. I know I was going to, going back when you talk about homework, I see like young children going to school now and they got backpacks this as big as them on their backs. I've never, and they're going along, hurrying along with this great big load on their back. And I think, oh my God, they're so young. This is never right.
No. And it's not realizing these children are, their brains are still developing, and they have a lot to deal with in the world and their environment, and that is overloading enough. And certainly in Wales, where I live, they don't give homework to little children in primary school. They only start getting homework when they go to the bigger school, the comprehensive school. So it is very regional as to what the thinking is. And of course, you do have schools and headmistresses, headmasters who want their school to be the very best and have, all of these.
Numbers game.
That's right. But every child is different, and some children excel and then they slow down, and then the others that seem to have been slow accelerate. So they have different stages of development, and certainly in these younger years, it can set those anxiety levels from school, from the demands of school and the pressure that we have, that can then create huge amounts of distress for these children, self-esteem, self-worth, all of these things that are then affected. And of course, these children are sensitive, highly sensitive, and we need to work with them on their sensitivities and allow them to grow and to develop in their own way, rather than trying to fit them into this box.
Yeah, because we're still in the old-fashioned way, aren't we? Where
We are.
schools aren't, you know, I know some schools do meditation, excuse me, and things like that, but you know, you're not taught about being in your body or what you're feeling, or, oh, you know, there's a whole range of things, you know, you could go on and on and on, but sadly, we're still in the dark ages, you know, with about our intuition, or about auras, about chakras, and teaching children all these things while they're young.
Yes. And one of the things is that meditation in school is a wonderful thing, and brilliant steps forward, but it's more of a tick box than understanding the much, much bigger picture of what else is involved. Meditation is a tiny part, whereas working with sensory perception, we're looking at a much, much bigger picture, and teaching children how to work with their chakras and their energy would be a huge bonus. And how we can then do that for ourselves. And that's part of the things I teach. I want people to understand, but I also want them to take skills away with them so that they can help themselves. And on my website, I've got a download of, there's a chakra CD, there's opening the heart. There's all sorts of different things happening, and how we can have I think you've got the Joy Wisdom website there. On the Allonus website, sorry, Jeff, on the Allonus website, we've got downloads of CDs, the seeding of the heart, head and heart connection, but also chakras, working with your chakras. And the thing with working with your chakras is that we pick up all of these sensitivities, and it can create tainting in us energetically. And working with your chakras is like having a shower every day. So you are cleansing them of what you've picked up, and how then you can have better stability. And with shock and trauma or adverse experiences, we can lose energy, and we blow all the circuits. We blow our solar plexus, sacral plexus. And that's where we hold all our criticism. That's where we hold any nasty words that have been said to us, and we felt that sinking of the heart. That's where it will go, and it will stay in the solar sacral plexus. And by working with them, we can actually then work that out of what we've stored during the day, and helping them to refresh, regenerate, and cleanse it. And it's a whole system that we can have at our fingertips, and helping us then to enjoy and being able to rectify when we feel those shocks, or when we do feel affected energetically. We can work with our chakras and help things then to start to make change. And suddenly we start to feel better. Suddenly we feel more like ourselves, and getting to those bigger elements of support that we can have on a regular basis.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
It is. And a lot of, in fact, I would say that you are better off working with your chakras than you are sitting and meditating, because you are actually creating change within you, direct change in you, that can bring about all sorts of different elements. Thank you, Jeff. So there you can see some of the CDs, DVDs that we have that you can download and enjoy different elements of direct change. I don't believe in superficial. We need direct. We need action now, not talking about it. Let's do something about it. And these are skills that I then go on to teach.
Yeah, we've said this in different groups, like, the time is now. We don't talk about it. We have to take action.
We do.
Because things are ramping up so fast. And like you said, we have the new moon, the full moon, a pink moon, a blue moon, eclipse and solar, and it's just like this one after the other now. Whereas you think, oh, the full moon, that's at the end of the month. Now It's just like they're stacked up. It's like
they are. And this is ongoing, and we need to realize it's ongoing. And we've certainly got huge transitions in the world since the pandemic, and pandemic times have been seen as times and decades of huge change, and pandemics have been seen to bring in whole new rafts of ways of living and how we interact with one another before. And some of them have been 30 years. We won't have 30 years. We will have a decade of change. And we're having huge change from the bottom up. And we're finding lots of intolerances, things that we're not going to accept anymore, such as abuse and war and so on. We don't want that in our lives. And we are realizing more and more that actually life is precious and we need to revere it and also look after us. And we need to look after us. There's nobody coming on a charger. And these are some of the things that you can do for yourself that will really make the big difference into how you live your life, how you interact. And the more you work with your energy, chakras, six senses, and helping you then to have that direct line, and it's a direct path rather than veering off the path all the time. You are then on your path and life speeds up. Things change. You move from the slow lane into the fast lane. And all sorts of different things change for you. And my 2-day, 2 lots of 2-day training works with health, body, energetics. And then this is called induction and a zest of life induction. And then we go on to mind and emotion and how we can then help with that side as well, which is another 2-day training. Also to offer energetics training, and that's the real understanding and what we can do, how we can help each other. And I teach this to professionals as well as individuals, and how we can then become feeling happier in our own body without all of these angst that we have to mix and move with. The more we're connected here, and I often say, you're only as good as your connections. We might be psychic, we might be highly attuned, but is your body working with you? And this is where the energetics really come into their own, and this intuition, etc., that we can then expand. Clairaudience, clairsentience, the clairaroma, your psychic development, and so on. So there are huge levels that we can move into. So you can be psychic, but there can be huge levels that you could move to in that, and telekinesis and so on and so forth that you can enjoy too. So we have been used to settling for less through our many lives. Now there are no barriers. We can have it all, and we can develop that. and develop us so that we can attune ourselves to the higher frequencies. And certainly the Power of Three workshop that I run is very much about the Aquarian age and being aligned and activating new levels of frequencies that we can work with, because we need to sort out the physical body to be able to accept it. And yes, it can be coming in and it can be making us frazzled, and we're not getting the huge benefits that we should be getting. So this is where the physical body, we think of everything outside of ourselves. That's what we've been taught through the ages. But actually, it's in here. We need to activate it and attune and interface then with all sorts of changes that we can have in our aura and our energetics to work with the new Merkaba, the Merkava, that and the electromagnetic body becomes obsolete as we move into crystalline, and allowing us then to work with a whole new system that is taking us into the Aquarian age. So there's lots of things that we can do, learn, skills, and certainly with the Power of Three, it's a whole program of support from the Divine Feminine to help us to live from the heart, to open up our three hearts, our sacred heart, our cosmic heart, and our fourth heart chakra, join as one. And that's wonderful to live, because you are having your frequencies of the heart that are then engaging with new levels in our aura, in our chakras. And we have solar chakras that we are connected to up to the 20th chakra, and they take over our human chakras. So we are no longer affected by emotions. We are no longer affected by these hits on the frequencies, because we can deal with that. And that's where we need to get our physical body and our energetics to work in different parameters, but also learning those skills that if I have shock, I can work with my chakras and reduce that impact on me. And by reducing that impact on me, I am reducing the biochemical and the influences, hormonal influences, chemical influences on my physical body. So our physical bodies are being buffered from all of these. It's like living in a war zone for some adults when you are feeling and having these sensitivities. And certainly psychiatrists are now understanding that this is a great skill. It's a great skill to keep you well. It helps you from declining, and it helps you have better energy. You're not as tired. You can do more in a day because your body can support you. And that support comes from your energetics. Energetics, it's a chicken and egg, isn't it? When I started training in reflexology and craniosacral therapy, I realized that we need to work with energetics as well. Not that it was taught in reflexology or craniosacral therapy. In fact, it was an absolute no-no. You don't go anywhere near energy in craniosacral therapy. But actually, it's part of our makeup. So we need to work with it. We are a unit, and that unit includes your energetics and how your energetics will be bombarding you. And one of the things around being a highly sensitive person or sensory processing sensitivity is actually the mind. The mind goes into overload with all of this processing of information, overstimulation. And then, of course, we have the emotional reactivity. We have the insensitivity getting bigger to our environmental, and people need to have time alone, and they will have You know, I've been to London, I've done what I need to do in my job, and now I'm coming home and I'm not going to speak to anybody for a few days because I need to regroup with all of that sensitivity that you have picked up or been adversely sensing. You know, even going into when I go shopping, I choose later times, quieter times when I go shopping, so that I am not interacting, because you can walk into the door of Sainsbury's or Asda, wherever you go, and there is such a mix of people and their energies as you walk in through the door and you go, woo.
And turn around and go out again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never go in the big supermarkets. I just can't handle them. It's just like, I just have to go in the smaller one, get what I need and out again. So
yeah, very much. It's in get what you want, out again.
yeah.
And certainly you choose your times. And working with babies, as I have done for a long time, and toddlers, you know, you go into a supermarket and you can hear these distressed children, and they're picking up on all of this. They don't like it. They don't like this energy that they're in, and they can't cope with it. And you know, I send them healing and whatever, but it's hard because we are coming into a world of where there is negativity, and we're not used to negativity. We don't like negativity, and we will react accordingly. And the smaller groups that we're in, and I know parents have told me that we can't interact with certain members of our family because our little one goes into such distress and gets really, really distressed. We can't have them in our home anymore. So these children are spotlighting, if you like, of negativities that they're picking up. And a lot of these children know if our heart is open or not. And very often they look up here rather than at you. And they are looking at who you are energetically. And they can read that. And very often they will have this, you know, as you say, you have a lovely bond with your grandchildren because they can see you and see your energy and what they like about that.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about auras yesterday because one of them was saying she could see, I could see blue. And so I was explaining about a little bit about auras and, you know, just very lightly and some chakras. So, but food is something that I gradually continue on so that they got an understanding so that it's going to help them when they need it. I know you sent us some slides and I don't know whether Jeffrey's managed to get them. You didn't get them. Right. Okay. Right. So, well, that's a shame.
Yeah, they didn't come on the email, mate. They're not there.
That's fun. How bizarre is that?
You go to the private chat. If you go in the private chat, I've given you the correct email address.
Yeah.
Oh,
never mind.
Anyway.
You can find lots of pictures and stuff around energetics on the website anyway.
So what tips would you give to people? Because like you say, there's just so much coming at you from so many different, you know, and I can get people wear different gadgets and different crystals and put a boundary line, if you like, around the auric field. And what would you sort of say to people that are starting to feel like things knock them off their perch, so to speak, all of a sudden? So,
well, we have the CD you can download, which is easy to use. There's 7 different meditations on there, or guided meditations, and learning to connect and look at what's going on internally. That's the first thing, is to recognize how you are forming, how you are functioning. And when we start to work with those chakras, we then start to learn that the base chakra is all about our interface with the world. Do we feel safe? Do we feel vulnerable? And certainly we can have huge elements around grounding and being feeling vulnerable that will come from that base chakra. So the more we work with that base chakra, the more we feel more grounded, and the safer we feel in the world. When we move to the sacral, we're looking at power struggles. We're looking at, as I was saying, about worthy, self-worth, confidence, all of those sort of things, and how we can then generate more of that self-esteem, etc. And we've got back chakras as well as front chakras. And the back chakras very much can be closed. We can open the fronts, but the backs can be closed. And on the CD, there is an opening and closing of chakras that also helps us to, if we are going to busy places, we can close them down while we're there, and then open them up again when we're safe back in the car and on our way home. So we can open them up again. We can use them to help to give us more of that protection. And some people are open to everything. And this is where people can have very much all sorts of spiritual awareness that they don't want.
Open house.
Yes, it is open house. Yes. A bit like the film Ghost.
Yeah.
They all come crashing in. So again, we need to be able to manage, work with those chakras that can help and cleanse them. Just by working with them, we're cleansing them. And we can feel so much lighter when we're doing that, because negativity is like black, brown, taintings, splodges. I was teaching one particular student, and she had explained some of this to her son, and he was late for school one morning, and I'm afraid she got a little bit upset about that. And he replied to her and said, "You are covering me with lots of negativity with your outburst." And wise beyond his years, you know.
Yeah.
And she stopped herself, and he's right. So when we are in that negativity, it's what they are picking up and how they are being affected by somebody else being upset.
What about grounding? Because that's a really important one, because you know, you talk to some people and they're and you know they're totally not grounded. Yeah, so you know, like apart from standing on the earth, any other suggestions? Because it's not always, you know, I mean, I've gone out and it's cold, and it's so cold under the feet. I can't stay out here grounding very long.
You can sit in your armchair, Andrena, and do your chakras and do your base chakra. It's much more comfortable.
Yeah.
Being out there in the wet and the cold. Yeah. So we don't actually need to do that. Working with your base chakra will help you to have more grounding. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know some people say chocolate. Chocolate is good for grounding. I like that one.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it has a lot of followers.
Yeah. Oh dear.
But the thing is, we make things more complicated than they are. And actually working with the chakras helps us to get more aligned, feel more grounded, building that self-esteem and self-worth, and actually helping to rewire our nervous system. Because it's like having, when we have shock and trauma, it's like all the lights go out, and we can just have one room with a dim light. So, but again, by working with your chakras, you are getting then, because the information from the aura comes in through the chakras and then into the spine. That then goes into the nervous system. So again, we are affecting the energy, and the aura affects the chakras affect the aura, and we've got huge amount of levels within those chakras and aura. There's 7 levels in each layer, each chakra, and then there are 7 levels, 7 layers within each level. So we can see how things can become very complicated on what's working where within that chakra or in that auric field. And essentially working with that, we can then improve our health and improve our sensory empathic processing so that we can live in the world and feel safe rather than feeling unsafe, which is what all of this angst and energy impacts can do.
Interesting, eh? I mean, like, we are multi-dimensional beings, aren't we? There's layers of layers of like you say, layers in your chakras. We're just, if we had some of us had the gift to really see what we're like on a whole, the colors, the patterns, and the geometry, it would be an amazing sight to see.
It's a phenomenal system, phenomenal, epic in what it can do. And we are only using a tiny bit of it.
Mm.
And this is where in the power of 3, we're opening people up to work with their solar chakras that aren't affected by emotions, aren't affected by people saying nasty things or hearing that frequency. It gives us more stability, and it helps us then to start to engage and awaken all of this dormancy that we're living inside. And it's brand new. There's nobody else doing this. And how it's been such an honor to bring it and to be the spokesperson for it. But it's still very misunderstood, and it's still, we can fly very fast and we can fly high, but we're still, I want to be over here. It's still a bit daunting to some people, but we're looking for it, but we're still feeling unsafe around it. And this is where in the power of 3, it's about aligning the person. And although it's a group, each person is aligned in a different way so that they get what they need, because one fix doesn't fit all. It's not a carte blanche. And how we can then tweak that for the person that requires it. And I've just the power of 3 is in 3 stages, and the second stage I've just brought in. We haven't had any upgrades in opalescence, the second stage, for big upgrades since I launched it in 2010, and I've just brought in a second stage to the second stage. and stage B is where the soul groups are now connecting, and that people can have their own guide from the soul group. So it's just mind-blowing of what we have now and what we can engage with. That is so beneficial for us and helping us to live on earth, but also live in high spiritual frequencies. Amazing to live.
And I am finding, like, soul tribes, you're meeting people, you're really connecting with your soul tribes now more than ever, aren't you? It is ramping up on every level. And I think we need that connection now more than ever to support one another with these changes.
Yes. And this weekend I'm running Karma Liberation, which is 1 day. And then we go on the Sunday to connect people to their soul agenda. and connecting with their soul groups, etc. It's pretty phenomenal of what we can receive now and what we can have.
And you've got all this listed on your website, haven't you?
I have, absolutely.
They're all
yes.
on Zoom. Are they all on any in person, or are they all Zooms?
We do some in person, but it is down to extra costs and etc. when you do it in person now, because they're expensive with venues. So people do enjoy Zoom, and it means it doesn't matter where they are in the world. They can come.
That's true.
Less cost, and in your own time. So soul and soul psychology is on this weekend, and it's run regularly through the year.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And do you want to mention your award that you had? What was it?
Yes. Well, I
that
actually
would be
had
nice to share.
I had 3 awards. One was for Dissolve and Resolve Emotions, the therapy that I pioneered. The other one was for my book, Pregnancy and Birth, New Generation, which is about these new kids and women's health, pregnancy from women's health right through to children's allergies and ADHD, etc. It's a big book. And there are some chapters that you can download from the book on the website. And there's also free introductory audio on there and videos about them too. And then the third award was for Joy Wisdom Trust. So I was very, very privileged to have 3.
I know. Fabulous.
Amazing. Yes.
But then, you look at what you've put out, what you're doing, what you're bringing in, it's so needed, all these sort of things now. So I know I've said congratulations before, but I'd really like to honor the work that you're doing. It's so important. It's so needed now more than ever, eh?
It is. And it's been a life's work, as it were, building up to where we are today, and Joy Wisdom Trust, etc. And bringing these a comprehensive view of health rather than taking little bits of it, and having a rounded approach, because we are a unit and we need to work on an integrated level to be able to help people, whether it's energetics, sixth senses, empathics that are being affected. I mean, some people can feel, one student said, I can feel my husband before he pulls up in the car. I can feel his energy, his mood, and his frequencies. So this is what we can be connected to without realizing. But we can also be affected by Joe Bloggs that lives 10 miles down the road. So it's fine-tuning for what they need that makes a huge difference in mental and emotional health.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like with the children, I know, like years and years ago, there were exercises where, like, sort of with dowsing, like you'd have a plant and you'd say loving thoughts to the plant, and then they would douse, and then obviously the aura would be wide, and then they do the sending nasty thoughts and check the aura again, and like, the plant had like shriveled right up. And
that's right.
And it's like the power of our words. There's more and more people now aware of the power of words and what you're saying, what you're sending out than ever before.
It is. They are weapons, no doubt. Words are weapons. And there was a channeling that came out in early 2000 that actually said, we may remove our weapons, but our words remain as weapons. And it will take some time for that to go, for us to learn, it's emotional intelligence as well as mindfulness that actually makes the difference in what we are saying. Again, it's not head, it's heart. It's this heart energy and frequency that can work with the mind. and bringing that discernment, growing that discernment of, I don't need to say anything here. I need to keep quiet because it's not the right time to say it. And knowing that, we can use our guardian angel to actually take that message across when it's appropriate, for it then to seed with that person. And we can stay out of the arguments in all sorts of different ways, and how we can then be stopping that karma, because when we do say those words, we're purging ourselves and creating karma. So it's around thinking before we speak. And I run an evening course several times a year for groups about conscious communication, because we don't realize the consciousness we need to keep out of that. So, and it's surprising, it really is surprising of the habits, and what we think is normal is abnormal. We've normalized it, but doesn't mean to say that it's normal. And of course, on a sensory perception, we are being hit or affected by other people's words and negativity in the world and in our environment. So if you're working in an office, whatever, it can be rather challenging, because we are mixing with different energies, different attributes from that person, their thinking, the words that they speak, the intolerance, and so on. And why we're much better working at home, and why people like working at home, because they have their own environment. They're not being bombarded from other people's frequencies, and they feel happier in their own environment.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And plus you haven't got all the hassle of traveling and all the things that go with it, eh? I mean, and Scamdemic brought that on.
That's right. Again, we see huge transitions that we wouldn't have thought of before are now into play. And of course, we have also the frequencies from our computers and our phones, etc., that affects us too. And the messages we receive on there can be just as impacting as you open an email, or it's been written in anger or in frustration or whatever. We pick up the frequencies of that. And again, it's around helping ourselves to realign and be more balanced, that we can open those things and not be affected or as much that would have done before. So it's moving, shifting that thinking and perception of, we need to do more than meditation, more than diet. We actually need to work with what's going on in here and making those changes, because we have huge rafts of dormancy that is there waiting for us to connect to. But we need the right switch on. We need that right frequency to be able to work. And that's with all of us, not just parts of us.
Wow, fabulous. God, yeah, you come through with so much, and each time is a different subject, but every point you say and share is so valuable, so needed. And I just love Joy Wisdom's wisdom.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Thank you. Kind words.
So as we're coming up to the end of our hour, is there anything else, any words of wisdom you'd like to impart us with?
Yes, I think be more aware that we are more than the physical, and we have many attributes that we can tap into, and perhaps the sensory perceptions are telling you that we need to listen to our body and what's going on, and they are signposts for us to help ourselves and make change. Choose those quieter times when you're going out, and have downtimes for you to regroup, because different age groups have come in with different sensory, different ways of regrouping, and sometimes we just need that quiet time to regenerate and then being able to go out again. But there are other skills, there are other ways of helping yourself, and we need to be starting to look at those, because we don't need to struggle. We can move with getting these connections and then enabling us to feel safe in the world and to be more aware of us and how we need to look after us in a different way than perhaps we've been taught in the past.
Totally. Well, thank you very much. That was lovely. So it's been an absolute delight once again to have you on the show. So is there anything, Jeffrey, you want to add or say? Or
No, it's always informative. I mean, I was very mindful of the fact about the meditations, and the guy Jose de Silva, with his background in communications in the Korean War, and how he talked to his children and discovered the theta wave. I was also very aware of mindfulness and meditations with the Dallas Cowboys, who pioneered the float tanks, where they also had vision of their specialist teams are being slowed down, so that when they're in the float tanks, they saw this visualization of themselves doing what they were supposed to do. And then we saw the East Germans doing their creative visualization, seeing themselves winning or participating in the winning gold medals and so forth. So, the power of the mind to see the objective.
Mind is very powerful. But it's having the skills to be able to tap into them and be in charge of them, Jeff, is perhaps more of my message around. We can have that on tap and using in a different way. We don't have to go anywhere else. We can have it direct.
Yeah, well, that's I call it imagineering. So I imagine what it is that I seek, and then hold the space, and then it engineers itself into its sacred form. Whether it's a car park or whatever, I'm looking for something. So so obviously I've got to do that on a new computer.
Say no more. Okay, right. Well,
Lovely
thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, both.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Jeffrey. And same time, same place next week. And thank you, everybody.